This is going to be part 2 of this video, and I want to start off with some literature on the topic. I just need some cup of tea here. So I have one article that is really good. It is by Farah Godray, and it's called, this is like a research article, and it is called The Neoliberal Yogi and the Politics of Yoga. This article is very, very good. It addressing neoliberalism, how it sort of is infiltrating into how certain people doing yoga. It is addressing biopolitics, how yoga becomes an instrument that can be commodified in the Western society and be used for self-governance, which is a form of biopolitical type of activity. And also one of the problems, now I'm gonna come into the concept of religion here, because is there any authenticity to yoga? Is there any authenticity to any form of religion? Because if I'm here, you know, I'm here, I have my brain, I have my perception about the world, and I claim that my religious identity is something, you know. So if I take another person and that person also is claiming to have exactly the same religious identity, we may say we are referring to the same thing. We say that we have a connection here, we are both like connected to this religion, whatever, you know. But where is the practice that I do? My actions are gonna look different, you know. There are some principles, there are some philosophical types of stuff that are involved here, but it's like religion as a concept has been created after the Enlightenment, you know. It has been created in Europe, you know. The concept of religion has been created in Europe during the 1800th century, after the Enlightenment, and the Enlightenment in Europe took place in the 1600th century. So before that, no one was thinking, okay, I have a religion here and this is my religion and you have a different religion and this is so different that we cannot function in the same place. That was not the case, you know. The case is that we have reconstructed, we have like looked back, like a retrospective form of constructing religion. So we look at India and we say, okay, during the 1800th century and the 1900th century, there was a colonization type of project going on, you know, by Western types of actors, you know, of India. And they wanted to be able to say, okay, we need to sort of encapsulate certain of the spaces of India so that we can conduct this colonization and claim that we have the legitimacy to do these types of actions. And how did they do that? Well, they needed to sort of invent India as something that was a static and non-changeable phenomena, you know, that the society in India was not changing at all, you know, which of course is not true, you know, because every single action is adding something new. Every moment that we are experiencing and having in history is individually, it is unique and it's something new. But this type of colonization project needs to be able to sort of encapsulate religion, which means that you have power, you have all the aspects that could govern a society, you know, and you have the spiritual aspect. And this is actually about the human type of beingness, you know. In a Western type of concept, you know, you claim that the human being is dual. It is a dual type of product. It is physical and it has mental processes that are sort of you know, causing physical changes and sort of movement and actions. There is no spiritual aspect in the human beingness from a Western type of philosophy, you know. This spiritual aspect, you know, is still there, you know, because mental processes, if we say that we have some problem, or not all our mental processes maybe is functioning so we are able to move this physical mass of ourself or whatever, you know. But there is also some awareness in this, you know. We have some awareness, observance, and if we just being quiet, you know, in a meditation, for example, we find that we are still, there's something still there, you know, there's some sort of, you know, spiritual aspect of being human, you know. And this spiritual aspect is sort of, it's just like it's not supposed to be there in a secular context. We have to remove it, you know. And the problem is that you can't, the myth is that you cannot remove the spiritual aspect of a human being because it is there. But you can make people think that there is nothing else than the physical and the mental processes. Let me have some tea. So, so religion, what they have sort of done is that they have looked back, retrospective construction. The history is sort of perceived in a Western type of understanding as something linear, something that moving like this, you know. You're starting here and it moving along a line somewhere here, you know. There is no like, you know, shifts and stuff. We are perceiving it like a line, you know. So if I stand here on the in the present moment and I say, okay, well, I have India, or I have something that is right here and I want to sort of encapsulate the religions, the places where I have this more than duality aspect, where there's something that is spiritual involved, you know. I want to encapsulate that and say that, okay, this is a religion, you know. They looking back and they trying to find such text and stuff, because everything that human does is sort of expressed through some form of textual type of product, you know. So they find something and say, okay, this text that we find here, which is very like, it's amazing, the text, I mean, the like the source text, like the very sources of text that we have in religions, they are very like, I mean, they are amazing, you know. But the problem, what has been done in this construction of different religions, like different classificational types of religions, you know, is that when you say that everything of this specific religion is linked to this specific text right here, very far back in the history, and it has sort of been transferred towards the present right here. Now, this person right here in the present moment thinks, how can I utilize this text that was formulated here, transferred through all of these generations to here, and having this form of transitional type of understanding of spiritual aspect of human beingness. From here, this person say, okay, I want only the physical and only the mental processes to be proceeded through generations. So they say that, okay, this is the religion and now we have encapsulated it. So now we can say that all the people right here in front in this present moment, they have this religion, and this religion is only referring to this source of this text or this person or whatever right here back, really far back in the history. So when you're having that, you can sort of say that, okay, these people in this context, they have this religion. And then you can place them against another group and say, okay, these people have this religion and these people have this religion. And then you can sort of start to sort of, you know, clash these types of religions against each other. And there is like, the thing is that I don't think the same as you do, and no one else thinks exactly the same as someone else does, you know. So when people who are living in a milieu, you know, like a milieu where there is a concept of there's some spiritual aspect in the human beingness, when they are living in that milieu, that is just a religious milieu, you know, where there is a concept of, okay, we acknowledge there is a spiritual aspect and we may have some rituals, that some of the rituals might be similar, we might doing some of these collectively, like in a collective type of setting, and therefore it becomes like a wholesome type of religion, or like something that we're sharing, you know, we're sharing this whole thing, you know. But there is no like solid, like authentic source, like one authentic like seed that is said that this is the actual religion. If you asking someone what is Christianity, if you're asking every single person who say that my identity, religious identity is Christian, if you're asking a person exactly the same question, what is Christianity, if you're asking every Christian what is Christianity, they're gonna give you a different answer, you will not receive exactly the same answer, there will be some small differences. There might be some ways in how they are using their words, how they are sort of trying to, express and bring, their concept and their type of way of, communicating these type of phenomena in their experience or as a human being, So it means that religion itself, it's not something that is so solid that it's statically not changeable. It is just something that is transmitted forward through generations, and it's linking things back towards the linear that goes back and also forward. But it is something, it becomes whatever people is doing, What I do in my everyday life is not something, there is no other person who has exactly the same experience as I have, and I will not have exactly the same experience as someone else have, but we might have the same, religion or whatever. But the problem here is that when we do this type, or not we, but when this has been done in the past to sort of legitimize colonization of different parts of the world, because they have said that, okay, this religion in this place this is like a danger, this is a threat towards secular way of dividing the human beingness into a physical and to mental process type of functioning entity, When that has been done, it has had so destructive types of consequences for the whole humanity, And the important aspect in this, what I want to bring forth is that we cannot say that religion was something that just all of a sudden just arose, like this, and this was the package, because what has been done in the 1800th century by these scholars and academics, when they have been retrospectively looking back, saying, okay, what is this religion, in this specific context? This is this, we're connecting it to this, these texts. They might was, some of the texts that has been used to say that this is the actual religion, they might was not even, there maybe was one page missing, and yet they were saying, okay, this is exactly the religion that all these people who are living in the present and in all other generation forward who claims they have this specific religious identity, that is their religion, So what happens is that it becomes a problem, like for the present and how we are, perceiving everything, and there are so many things to this, like we cannot find a solid package of religion, but this is how we are told that religion is today. When someone say, I have a religious identity, we think that, okay, if this person say they have a specific religious identity, then we are viewing it as they are living inside of a box and they have exactly these set of assumptions or perceptions and values and ways of thinking, That's how the politics and how the system and everything wants us to perceive religion, and that is not true, Each individual who say they are spiritual or like have the specific religion, I mean, they are not living within that they have purchased a box with all these concepts and just place them inside of their brain. It's not how it functions. They will do different actions, they will take different behaviors up on different situations, and this is the problem, because we cannot find religion as something that is so solid that it is like a rock, that you just go and buy, But today, what has happened, I mean, in the past it was used to legitimize this colonization of different spaces, and it was used to sort of take the power, because in the secular type of context, the power is not hold connected to anything that is spiritual or any individual or group that has any spiritual types of way of perceiving the reality. It is solely about certain ideological type of aims, such as neoliberal type of ideology. It is used for that, but it is focused on this type of duality, that the physical and the mental processes is what is functioning the human being, and it's playing out. That's why we have the secularization and stuff, you know. And I mean, all these concepts that we have within the academic type of frame, you know, it is very like complex to sort of actually define them, because for example, secularization, neoliberalism, if you cannot define a certain concept, like as this is it, you know, such as neoliberalism, it means that it has sort of taken on something that is hegemonic, that is like over governing us, you know, that it can take any type of shape, like in a future scenario, and sort of add on its own meaning, you know. And that is a dangerous thing as well, because we are not encapsulating it as we have done with other things, you know, such as different groups that has been having some spiritual type of understanding or been doing certain things, and we have said, okay, this is a religion or whatever, but we are making it like sort of hegemonic, you know. So that is also something that is happening, and that means that there is an agenda that wants neoliberalism to sort of expand its meaning in the future, you know. So I would definitely recommend you to go and read about this whole, like, for example, this article that was published by about the neoliberal yoga and the politics of yoga, that is linking to colonialism and how you have this form of authenticity and stuff, because yoga has even been used by people who has been, you know, referring themselves as having a spiritual type of like religious identity as Muslims, you know. There has been found in Buddhism, it has been found in so many ways, but it's about what as a human being we are able to do certain things. We have hands, we maybe have feet, we maybe have not, but we have certain frames of how we can operate. We are living on a planet, you know. Our actions is going to be connected to what our abilities sort of is, you know, within the form of capability that we probably have within the setting and stuff that we are living in. So I want to recommend two different books. These are academically published. So the first one is referring and discussing this whole consumer society and what it has done with different religious or spiritual type of practices. How, for example, yoga becomes currently something that is commodified and, you know, as something that we can consume, and that actually it can strengthen the like self-discipline towards neoliberal type of ideology, like consumerism and becoming that form of subject. But it can also be a counter-hegemonic type of practice if you're adding in certain like you know, non-harming type of philosophical ideas that you can find in the yogic philosophy, which this article by Farah Godray, the neoliberal yoga and politics of yoga, is addressing, because it does address yoga, you know, the philosophy. If you're adding in certain of those elements into the yoga practice that you're doing physically, you're actually finding ways of actually sort of taking a step back from this whole consumerism and say, okay, do I really have a choice? Do I want to be a consumer? Do I not want to be a consumer? You have a choice, you know, but this choice most people doesn't do, because they are just saying, okay, I'm a consumer, and as a consumer I'm making choices. But with the counter-hegemonic type of perspective, you are taking a step back and saying, okay, do I want to be a consumer or do I not want to be a consumer? How can I find other solutions of, if I don't want to be a consumer who's just going to consume till there is some, you know, finish of the consumerism, you know. So one book that is addressing religion, again I said religion is a complex type of concept to sort of, because it has been used to classify people, you know, and to classify things to legitimize certain political actions. But this book this is edited by Francois Gauthier, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it, and Thomas Martikainen. Martikainen is a like Finnish type of words. I actually am able to pronounce it because I know a little bit of Finnish language, and it is by Ashgate. And this one was, I will show the front page like this. I mean, it doesn't, I must be fair, I don't really like the front page, but I think it is about, you know, because in order to make something attractive to consume, we will add something that looks attractive to it, but it sort of is counter type of attracting consumerism of reading this book, because it doesn't have maybe the most interesting front page, in my personal opinion. But this book was published in 2013. So when it means a book is edited in the academic, like if in the university publishing presses and stuff, it means there are other authors that has provided chapters in the book, but these have sort of put together the whole content in somehow, you know, they have been involved in the final product. Then I want to recommend another book, and I hope I will be able to do that before this video is going to end, and it is called Social Identities Between the Sacred and the Secular, and this one is edited by Abide, Giselle Vincent and Christopher Cotter, and it's also published by, this one actually has a black front page, but I will be able to show maybe if my camera is zooming in. It is also published by Ashgate, and this one was published in the year of, what is it called, Gregorian calendar of year, also in 2013. So this one addressing how citizenship, you know, and social identities, how we in a consumer society, we doesn't have anything that is like saying, okay, I don't get feedback if I say that, oh, I'm a yogi. I need to constantly, on my everyday base, reconstruct my own identity as a yogi. I need to reconstruct my identity as a Christian, whatever I might say that I am. So that means that social identities becomes something that is like a goal, like you can consume your way towards a social identity, you know. And that is what this book addressing in relation to the sacred and secular. And when it says like sacred and secular, I mean again the dual type of concept of physical and mental processes, that is the human being in its essence. And then you have the other way of perceiving humans as physical, spiritual and mental processes, you know. So you're adding one more thing, and this book addressing how there is a myth about how this spiritual type part of the human beingness is sort of removed in both in the society but also in the way that we as humans understand ourselves through this secularization process. So very good book. This one also again has different authors,